1, 2. Mic check. Can y'all hear me? One, two. Okay, good. How y'all doing? What's up, Natural Market? Raquel. No, it's been a minute. And I don't give no updates as far as when I'm gonna go live, impromptu. I have nothing. Good. Thank y'all. I have nothing prepared to say. I just felt like, you know what? I'm gonna get on here and just chop it up, check it in. And it's very interesting times we're living in, to say the least. And that's why I thought of the title, Where Do We Go From Here? Because if you go to my other channel, I 720 Astrology, I did a video back in March. Trying to find my bag. And I talked about what was coming up with Saturn going into Pisces and Pluto going into Aquarius. Saturn and Pisces rules over, or Pisces is associated with illusion, magic, film and TV, Hollywood, religion, belief, fantasy. Aquarius is the future, it's community, it is technology, it is the maverick, it is your tribe, your society. And in those videos, I talked about 10 things we could possibly see with Saturn moving into Pisces and Pluto going into Aquarius. And they've been happening at warp speed. One of the things I said was Saturn and Pisces, government-sponsored insanity. And that's multifaceted. But if you look, you see now all the news about aliens and UFOs and all the things that used to be tin hat stuff, conspiratorial type stuff, is now becoming mainstream news. And we would be naive to believe that it's all just, the truth is coming out, and to not think that there is, other things at play. And that's just one thing. One thing I looked at was how to see what to expect from these transits. You look at what happened at other times in history when these transits happen. In the 30s, Saturn was in Pisces, and New York Times ran a story with the title Prosperity Out of Fantasy, in reference to Disney, how Disney had managed to create a fortune out of fantasy. And if we look at right now, you can see how that plays out on the scene right now. For one, on the positive side, you can say Saturn sets limits, it creates boundaries. And if I want to bring something into reality, I have to put a boundary around it. And that thing that I'm putting a boundary around is prior to me setting a boundary, it's just a fantasy. Okay. And so Saturn can put a border around that to bring it into manifestation. But on the flip side, that same energy can promote fear. It can promote anxiety. It can promote um, um, delusional, a delusional mindset. Because prosperity out of fantasy ain't necessarily positive. It depends on whose prosperity is it, and what is the fantasy. One person's fantasy that creates prosperity for them can be hell for someone else or certain people. What's up, King T? Thank you for coming in. Um, and Pluto. Pluto's very interesting because now what's going on is, there was a term created over the past few years. Let me see if I can remember what did they call this? The black financial, what's the term? I can't remember what's they got this term, they black financial space or whatever, and you got all these channels that blew up over just the past few years, and they're giving you all these tips on how to blow up and get money and get credit and leverage credit and all this stuff. And what's amazing is it's all sounded great, but what's going on now is a lot of things are being exposed about people misusing these platforms and bringing on predatorial individuals who selling all these courses and things, and they're putting things together that you can just get off of Google, and they selling a bunch of fluff, and some people are not delivering on things, and you got this guy named JT, the pocket watcher, and he's been tearing up the internet. It's his time right now. He's exposing all the scammers and this and that. And a lot of stuff he say is true. A lot of stuff he's saying, people that I have spoken with in the background, we already saw all of it. Anybody who's been around money or people with money, it's once it becomes wide open to the public, you best believe it's already done. As in, it's not really viable. If it's a real secret, it's not going to be splattered all over the internet. And then this ties in with the whole thing of the fantasy of Pisces. And Neptune has been in Pisces for quite some time, which has magnified the delusional, out of touch with reality mindset collectively. And we've seen this just mushroom where, here's how to make money out of nowhere, out of thin air, just how you can go to a bank and get 100,000. You know how hard it is to go to a bank and get 100,000, get $100,000 loan from anywhere. Do you, but what happens is everything's connected. The more the economy tightens, with the over the past 2-3 years with the medical debacle that went on, and which created this artificial um inflation with costs went up on everything. What does it do when the cost of food goes up, the cost of goods goes up, everything goes up? Well, naturally, it threatens the whole survival mentality of people, and it will bring out the animal, and it will bring out the desperation. And then you will have people who prey on this and who will then say, I got the secret to where you can get a hold of a lump sum of money. You like, damn, I'm already in the bind. Life is in the balance. You- yeah, this is the secret I've been looking for, you know, and and then out of desperation, people are looking for a Christ, a Christ figure, a Messiah. That's right. Your income don't go up, you know. And if we're honest, people still have a um a Christ dilemma, or this what do they call it? What's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word I'm looking for. Where, Messiah complex. We're still looking for this Messiah, and you have these different versions that have popped up, and it's all been magnified with Saturn going into Pisces and Pluto going into Aquarius, because these different groups or communities, the Black financial community or Black finance space and all this, one by one are being shown to be either they got this new term they made up called grifters, or they're just scamming, or it's just a bunch of fluff, you know? And so Pluto exposes the dark side of things, the underworld. So Pluto, when it made its little dip into Aquarius, it accelerated the exposure of the dark side of these communities that are so-called in place to elevate quote unquote black finance. Now, going back to this guy JT who does all this exposing of these platforms. Now, here's what's interesting about this guy and others like him. When they expose these people, they weave in a critique of, let's say, metaphysics, period. And so there's something very interesting going on here. You get people who have managed to weave metaphysics into their financial programs. Okay. And if they are unscrupulous, or um, they are not naturally have genuine intentions, and then they are exposed for their true intentions, then what it does, it opens a space up to not only critique their um their sincerity, but now you critique all of this stuff you've been studying all these years about the metaphysics, the occult information, esoteric. All of this stuff now gets wrapped up into one package, and now is made to look like folly. And there's something very interesting going on. It makes you wonder, who's who are the players, who are the actors, and are the people who really are out to expose the scammers, do they not have some hidden agenda um that we're not aware of? As in, the agenda is possibly to destroy whatever foundation you might have developed that says there is more than just me getting up, working hard, going to work, coming back home, drinking a beer, watching the game, um, checking my 401k. And, in other words, everything is just what's in front of my face, what I can see. Uh, be careful with your money and get this Roth IRA. And, which I'm not negating none of this. But, you got the old saying that don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And there's something very interesting going on now where you're getting people getting lumped in with concepts. And by the actions of certain people, a whole body of scholarship, a whole body of thinking, a whole body of exploration is now being burned at the stake. And so that's part of what his title is worse than church passing the collection plate. Hey, it affects everybody. I'm in business. I have a business that is metaphysically based. It's astrotheologically based. It is esoteric, and so now even that seems it paints a harsh light on anybody who's dealing with anything alternative now. And you think about what's been going on in the world for the past 2 years, and if you weren't thinking alternatively, we're seeing the effects of people who just stayed on the straight and narrow. Well, this is what they say I'm supposed to do. This is what I'm going to do. And a lot of people are suffering right now, and what has happened is possibly there's a coordinated effort to tear down what was established by teachers who actually gave you scholarship, who actually promoted the usage of your critical thinking, your imagination, your intuitiveness, your all of the above. Natural Market said the good old corporate consciousness. Yeah. And let's expound on that. My demise in my first business was corporate consciousness. It was, I'm doing well. I'm doing well, but I got to get bigger. I got this amount of clients, but if I go and get this big old space, I can. So, and the corporatization, and it's a thin line because you got to be thinking structural. If you're in any business, you got to have structure, and you got to be able to accommodate growth. But I think what creeps in is greed. I think that's what, greed creeps in. And when you have greed coupled with desperation, it's a dangerous combination. Natural Market said there's a term in marketing, selling brotherhood like soap. That brotherhood, okay, it's such a thin line here. It's such a thin line because community is still important, but it's about the right community. And a community can be 2 people. It can be 3 people, and that can be the community, and that's enough. But we've been sold on this corporate idea of brotherhood, sisterhood, and I got a plan for the people, and this is the plan that's going that we need to be we, we. Um, and I feel you, Raquel. You said I do show support, but I feel like it's out of hand. It is, it is, um, but as the I don't like using the word consumer, but as the savvy selector of commerce, let's say that the savvy participant in commerce, we all face the dilemma of wondering, is this person legitimate? Is this person sincere? Um, you know, it, I've been following a particular person, his journey for years, and I used to really, think he was, all right. But I listened to how he sells his books, and he chastises people for not putting the right address. But here's the thing: you got motherfuckers paying through Cash App or Venmo and telling them to text you they address. See, this is the thing. We chastise people for not supporting. But if you're gonna run a business, run the shit right. If you go to my site and make a purchase, it tells you where to put in your number, put in your email address, put in your mailing address, put in your billing address. So we're not going to have to go back and forth. You text me, email me, call me, and then get on my platform and I'm going to chastise you live, call your name out and say, you put the wrong at like, this is the shit we do. Then turn around the next minute and you're going to philosophize about this and that. And it's like, damn, man, do your shit right. Set your shit up legitimately. Capture the information properly. Then you don't have to sit here and lambaste people about it. It's shit like that, man. And then you go on this tyrant about people don't support. That's another thing about so-called being conscious. It's something about you don't have to be humble. And um um it's I know so much and I need to convince you that I need you. No, that you need me. Um and maybe I need to learn something from this mindset cuz I got all types of shit. I got books and I spend all this time I write these books and shit, and then I don't really promote them. I don't really market them. And I damn sure just not good at getting on here and telling you hit the like button. Um, uh, go out here and buy my book. You need this book. This book gonna change you. And maybe my ass is dumb. Um, but I just can't bring myself to do it, you know. And there's a certain suffering right now you have to be willing to endure for integrity. And is right now is really testing, do you really believe in this thing called reciprocity? And I promise you a lot of people don't. And I think that's being revealed. Pluto reveals things, you know. Um Natural Market said dope sells itself. True indeed. True indeed. And reciprocity is a real thing. It's a real thing. because it, life can still be challenging, but reciprocity is actually a big part of manifestation. You know, manifestation. I'm actively working to bring something into my reality, and it's not like Doctor Strange. It's not the type of um bravado that you see in Hollywood where ooh, and then something. It doesn't work that way. And maybe that doesn't sell just even saying it that way, but the truth is it does not work that way. Manifestation and the realization of reciprocity is it takes time. It takes time because wouldn't it be easy and to if you just knew you could just do something and turn right around and just see it, then you wouldn't have to really test your what's inside of you. There would be no actual test of it if you could just do something and turn right around and bam, you know. Um it is a belief system and it's not a religion. It is a religion though. So okay. Let's deal with this real quick. The word religion, which is maligned. Religion means to be bound. So it is not religion that's a problem. It's the how religion has been handled and the certain religions. But each person need to have a religion. Your religion is yours. It's personal. I'm religious. I'm not Christian. I'm not Muslim. I'm not Jew. I'm not, but I am religious because Jamal, the gnosis, is a religion. I have certain things that I hold myself to. I bind myself to, and those are my religion. They encompass my religion, and that's what I function on. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, but um, whatever that is that you set your code of ethic, your standards, your integrity, whatever, that factors has a lot to do with the concept of reciprocity. And if I don't really believe in that concept, I'll do anything. I'll sell you a course for some ridiculous amount, and sell you my next webinar or this and that, and it's amazing. It's just some amazing things going on right now where things are being not revealed but unveiled. Um, but with all that said, it's also testing whatever you've been studying up till now. Whatever you've been studying, does it all make it null and void? Do does what's going on in the world, all the different distractions, does it lead us to a point where we just throw everything out? And it's because that is part of the plan right now. That's part of the plan right now. I said this over and over, and it's so profound. I'm gonna say it again. One of my professors used to say, information is first hoarded, then it is flooded, is distorted and embellished. So with certain information being withheld, and I was talking to my homeboy E today, and we were talking about the necessity of secret societies. But when we got into this information, we got into it from the standpoint of like Steve Coakley. He was going out and revealing things, and who was this person, that person. This is the boule, and you like there are people who have been knowing things and been withholding information that have, and the withholding has led to unnecessary suffering. Okay. But as you get deeper into this and go further along, you recognize that it's not necessarily the fact of secret societies that's a problem. It is the nefarious nature of certain societies, because you need to have secret societies. All information is not for everybody. How do you know? Because if you're on a certain level of thinking and knowing, and you go and have certain conversations with people, just the basic concept of, even the Bible says, ye are gods. Just that basic scripture. You can't even have that conversation with certain people where all I know is where I ain't don't know about all that. Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, and then you say, well, that's Christ is a title, and several deities have been given that title well before the Christian saga, and you break down Christ is fire, and it's something that you are evolving within yourself. They can't even grasp that, and that's like kindergarten, and so why should information be made readily available to children? They think like um they think like children, they act like children, so that you're not supposed to give them solid food. They need milk. So we get into that, then we start coming full circle and realizing, dang, you really do have to have, and it's not really secret, as in, shh, I can't. It's secret as in what secret means, sacred. It's sacred knowledge. And nobody has all of it, but you have pieces. But whatever pieces you got of that sacred knowledge, it should not be readily available to everybody. Not because you don't want to share, it's because in many cases you've been confronted with trying to share, and you've been ostracized, castigated, and made persona non grata, and you realize these people actually can develop a hatred, more so than a kinship, around the fact that you're trying to share something that could be helpful. So you got all of this going on in the mix, and it's almost like you're in the middle of a storm cloud right now. Which is why, and I know I'm just going all over around the place, because like I say, I'm just freestyling tonight. No, Raquel, some people are not. They are not ready for such knowledge. And this is why community still is important, which is the irony that with all this stuff going on, we're seeing that some of the communities we have been maybe involved in, even if it's through voyeur mode, where we're not really all the way in, but we just kind of hang around these communities, and you watching this person, and you're trying to pick up something from that. You start to, what's going on now over the next 20 years is that we will be re-examining the communities that we've been associated with. Aquarius is community, and Pluto uncovers things. Pluto tills the soil. And when a tiller is moving through, peace, black butterfly, good to see you. When a tiller is going through soil, that's a violent motion. It's tearing up the soil. And when Pluto moves through a sign, it tills the energy related to that sign, so that new life can eventually grow through. And so a tiller is really destructive. It's destructive with constructive purposes, though. And so we may collectively be re-examining the groups that we've been associated with. You know, I there's something going on. I don't feel the urge to get out and talk in public as much as I used to. And part of it is just through necessity of dealing with my personal life with responsibilities, family and all this, and um it don't the time ain't available. It just ain't available. And I've had to do soul searching because there's been frustration about wanting to, be more active on social media, because if you got a business, that's part of the prescribed method for growing your business. It's like, poor man's advertisement, keep going on and keep stay on people's mind. But it hasn't been playing out that way. But what happened to me the other day is a grasshopper showed up in my garage. And normally when you get close to grasshoppers, they move. They'll hop on out the way and move. This thing just sat there, and then it just kept sitting at the edge of the door. It moved from the chair by the garage door to from the main garage, the door to the door to enter our house. And it just was sitting there for days. And I went into my Nature Speak book, and it talked about how the grasshopper represents opportunity, and how the legs, the way they are designed, the back leg, they can leap 20 times the length of their body. So the grasshopper can represent where you can go, have a sudden burst of forward movement. Okay. And then how grasshopper also, this is one that really struck me, how grasshopper represents that what works for everybody else may not necessarily work for you. And what works for you may not necessarily work for everybody else. And that really gave me a moment of pause, because part of my frustration was, man, I need to get out, I need to be more active on social media, but maybe that ain't necessarily what I have to do, like other people do it, because that's a lot of time, you know. And thankfully, I still get people come through for readings, even though it might be on my other channel, it might be a month between me posting something. On this channel, hell, it might be 6 months, you know. Uh um but it's just interesting, because I'll be on TikTok or something more, and I'd be seeing people um on there doing lives. I'd be hearing their kids in the background hollering, and I saw one woman, she's doing tarot readings, and I'm not trying to judge nobody. It's just observation. And one of her children ran up and she pulled out a bag of Doritos and some soda and gave that to them. And I'm like, man, there ain't no motherfucking way I'm gonna be feeding my babies um some Doritos and some Mountain Dew or whatever just to get them on um um get them out my way. And so what um how can I word this? What slows me up in this type of thing of doing it the way other people is, I got certain standards. I feel like my children chose us because they knew they were going to get certain type of treatment relative to how special they are. And they chose us because I wouldn't be, I work from home. Like my wife would be at work and I work from home. And so I'm not gonna let them sit and watch TV all day. I could sit in here, I could crank out video at the video. I could put them in that living room with that TV, let them watch some Tom and Jerry. I could let them get on the Nintendo Switch. But it's hell being a parent and attempting to be responsible. How I'm gonna have all this knowledge, talk all this shit, and then my children sitting and I'm leaving their minds open to be on a device, and you don't know what commercials they're running in between these cartoons, and I'm not saying that I don't let them. We'll give them some time. Okay, you got 20 minutes, you can do your thing, or you got 25 minutes, you can watch your little whatever, but you got to be watching because they'll slide some subliminal shit in there, and bam, and that child just sitting there in their mind wide open. And if I'm just mindlessly just let them go all day do that, so I can sit in here and crank out some videos, woe be unto me, you know. So you have to suffer. I was gonna do a video called the sacrificial bull, you know, because I get in my mood, I be be like, damn man, I got all this knowledge. I'm more to this. I supposed to be, you know, and uh I tell my wife, I say, I only watch videos sometimes just as cause I'm watching other people cause I don't have the time to do it myself. And then I'll watch and I sit and get frustrated, like, cause I don't hear my perspective, you know? And so then your ego gets involved. I should be saying, I have input about what's going on right now, or I'll see something. I'd be like, damn, I'd like to give my perspective on that. And the universe don't be providing. And so when my man was like, you know what? The grasshopper said, what works for people, other people may not work for you. Then my man, either day I'm talking to him and he's like, man, maybe that ain't meant for us the way that other people do it. Cause this dude's a genius. He's a genius, but the world at large don't know it because he don't have no social media. Uh, a lot of the geniuses ain't even who you seeing. Let's say that too, you know. Um, and so that's twice that message came in different ways. And I see I see Natural Market was like, I don't think you said I don't think that's for you either. I'm just reading some of the stuff. She said, you're way too certain. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I think you should be recommended by people who are certified. Indeed. You know what? That is not to try to beat my chain here or nothing, but that concept, that is really how in business what I've always relied on. When I did lawn care, I relied on referrals. When I was in the fitness business, I relied on referrals, you know, and a lot of my business now, just with my astrology business, it is referrals. Okay, you read for this lady. She tells her friend, the friend buys a reading for her husband on his birthday. Or you do a reading for this, the daughter buys a reading for the mother for her birthday. Then the mother wants to turn around and buy a reading for the daughter, you know, and that's really my thing. And I don't have no problem with getting in front of a camera and talking, drop of a dime, but that selling myself, it's always been a struggle for me. I really would like to I love just whatever my craft is. I love just being involved in that and just let me do that, and the people just come, um but back to the comments though. I think you should be see, like a secret weapon where you have to be a part of the secret society. You are exactly. Raquel said, not teaching it to your children. That's right. Natural Mark said, my inside structure is leading my sample. You have to expound on that. Leading my sample, my inside. I think I get what you're saying. In other words, what's inside of me is driving. If that's what you mean, it's what's driving. Yours could be referrals, and those who send you BS are off the exactly. But I getting back to the topic, the what I put up, where to go from here. And I'm gonna tell you, I was telling my man E today, I've been getting real simple. What I've been doing, I've been going back to stuff that I started with in this journey like 12, 13 years ago, and revisiting things and going back to the basics. Oh, okay. She said, no, I literally run my business by giving samples and then orders. That's reciprocity. You got to have a lot of confidence in what you do. And if y'all got to check out Natural Market on Instagram. What's your new Instagram you set up too? Because I did a video on TikTok about passion. And you have to qualify to buy a Birkin. Yes, indeed. And that's why they ain't gonna never sell Birkin at Ross or at Dillard's. It's but I did this TikTok about passion. It's about don't do nothing without passion. Okay, Nave Aromatics is the real business. Okay. So y'all go and follow Nave Aromatics on Instagram. Nave Aromatics and Natural Market. But Nave Aromatics, she says, is the actual name of her business. But you can tell when people passion. You can tell how she, all the aesthetics. I respect people who are passionate about what they do. Who take the time to consider presentation. Who take their time to perfect their product and not just rushing to throw something out for a hustle. Because everything now is about, here's a quick side hustle that can get you. That shit don't exist. It don't exist. There's no quick side hustle gonna get you 10 grand a month. It don't exist. It does not exist. If you just do this right here, you can get such and such and such. And people are getting involved in things and they ain't really got no passion. Like everybody jumped on. For a minute, I had joined this group on Facebook. I'm still part of it. I don't never check it. I don't even hardly get on Facebook with it. When I was, I really wanted to do a podcast. And eventually if the opportunity presents itself, I am going to do me a podcast, and I wouldn't, got me some better sound. My sound used to be trash on here. I got my sound straightened out. And but what amazed me was people getting on there saying, I'm gonna start a podcast. Any ideas about topics? Or I'm looking for somebody to be on my podcast. Like, so you want to go and claim space and claim attention and try to hold people's attention, but you're basically saying, I ain't got nothing to say. But I want to have me one too. I want to, and that's, and again, I don't want to sound judgmental, but if you ain't got nothing you already passionate about, then what the fuck what is there for me to listen to you or engage? Like, you can smell passion on people who are passionate. Nave Aromatics, when you go and look at her Instagram, she reeks of passion. I know that's probably not the best word, but I mean that um in a positive manner. Here's a better word. She exudes passion. That's better. That's better. Reeks is that's she exudes passion. And you can tell when people are and when they are not. And um uh so I'm going down a rabbit hole. I ain't got all off of. She said, my business also runs our personal relationships, secret society. I rarely use money, mostly favors, which is going to be integral moving forward over the next 20 years. Bartering, you know, bartering, going back to analog ways of handling things. Here's what I can do. What can you do? We don't have many, we got associates, but we have very few friends, especially people that we'll let inside our house. So we had some friends over to eat dinner last month, and that's some of the things we talked about. Was just like I wanted to establish something where people could talk and share information. You got people from different walks of life, different professions, different skill sets, and who share information. Like naturopath doctors, or natural path pediatric care, or aromatherapy, and information. Somebody I'm recommending books, and somebody else recommending this book and that book, and and we discuss a little bit of astrology and this and that, and this is really what we're talking about when we say secret societies. It's not people actually walking around in robes and shit, and standing around in a circle and chanting. It's just about people whose energy aligns, and those people get together and they just commune, which is really what a church is supposed to be. Everything in our existence is about circles. Time is presented to us linearly, but it is really spiraling. We living on circles. Now the question is, are we circling down or are we circling up? The church comes from the word kirk, and kirk means circle. Coven, the witch's coven, it's a circle. Everything's about circles. You receive your initial nourishment in a natural society from two circles, the breasts. Everything is about circles. You emerge from a circle, an egg. You start out as circles, 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 circles. So everything's about what circle are you in? What's your circle of influence? What's your circle of people? And how does information circulate amongst you all? How does your money circulate? Everything circling. Um, you are one of first teachers on YouTube, the 13 son. Yeah, yeah, I know the 13 son. dark skinned brother with the locks. But yeah, so right on, right on. So he's one of your first teachers. Yeah, he been out for a minute. Um, but so we're seeing that now. Oh, okay, okay, that's what's up. Okay, all right, all right. Um, um, so circles are very important now and prevalent, and circles. Of course, we know the circle is feminine. It's feminine, and right now we are collectively in a womb. Um, the outer planets are are Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are the ones that have been discovered and released. Those planets are right now in feminine signs because Pluto turned retrograde and made its regress into uh Capricorn a few days ago. So it's back in a feminine sign. Uranus is in Taurus, feminine, and Neptune is in Pisces. What we're doing right now is we are setting the stage for the emerging consciousness of the Aquarian era. We are in the last stages of the Piscean, and we are in the womb. We're in the tomb of Pisces, and we're in the womb of Aquarius, as in the age of Aquarius, the processional age of Aquarius. And so Pluto will move back into Aquarius end of this year. It'll move back into Capricorn again in 2024. And then by the latter part of 2024, it's going to make its final ingress into Aquarius. Then in 2026, Saturn will move into Aries and Neptune will move into Aries. 2027, Uranus will move into Gemini. These are all masculine, expressive signs. So now is equivalent to, we could liken it to, what is the mother eating? Is she getting good rest? Is she exercising? Is she stressed? In other words, what is the gestating? And by the way, what's up, Landis Golden? What is the gestating child being fed right now? And this child is macrocosmic that I'm speaking of, collective, because over the next 4 years, we will move out of the womb into masculine expressing signs. Gemini, Aries, Aquarius, and yeah, Gemini, Aries, and Aquarius. Yes. Aquarius, community. Community will be a big thing for the next 20 years. But first, a Pluto is going to come in and assess communities we've been involved with. Tilling the soil, preparing for new seeds to be planted for our future community and society and the culture that is associated with it. Gemini, our thinking, our expression. From a health standpoint, the lungs will be prominent. Aries, leadership, assertion. The time is coming to assert, and the precursor is already at play starting next month, because the nodes will move into the north node will move into Aries. All this stuff is like a lead up, setting the stage for this new expression, this new emergence, this Moshe or Moses being drawn out of water. Moses being drawn out of water is the epitome of Aries, because the glyph of Aries is something emerging out of a pool. Pisces is the pool. Pisces is where the water breaks. Aries is the baby's head emerging from the womb. So right now, where do we go from here is a 4-year plan, so to speak. So right now, it may seem like we're treading in water or we're running through quicksand. But eventually we emerge. And so I just want to say this. I don't know. Everybody got their own stuff they're dealing with collectively. I want to just encourage people to be looking, and I don't want to sound like Tony Robbins or nothing, but I want to encourage people to not get so wrapped into conspiracy or what's going to happen collectively that you lose sight of where individually you are going, because the collective is just a group of individuals that form it. And so you think about go back to the beginning. I said Saturn and Pisces, uh, corporate sponsored insanity, government sponsored insanity, where, you know, where everything's been put out on Front Street, so to speak. Everything you might have been ostracized for is now just here it is. Aliens, spaceships, uh uh whatever your assessment is of the earth, its shape and everything is right out there on Front Street. But when I am reading for people, you know what they're asking me about? Does my chart show what my purpose is? Can you look at my chart and see what's going on with my relationship? Can you look at my child's chart? My child been having some struggles. I've had a real rough past 2 years. Does any of the timing, techniques show what I'm going through? What phase am I going through? I don't understand. And so in the midst of all of the conspiracies that have been putting out, where are you individually? Is what I'm saying is where I've been getting back to just being on analog, the simple stuff. I'm really having to deal with myself, my patience, my ability to stay grounded, even if things aren't moving as fast as I want. Me actually trusting my ability to manifest things into reality. And me having to go back and reassess how I manifest. Let me share something. In my chart, I was born with the battle between the quote unquote Christ and the devil, because my sun opposes Saturn. Let me show y'all something. So I grew up in the 80s. So I grew up with He-Man, Masters of the Universe. And so here's the main character. And in this form, he's called Adam. And notice he wears this kind of reddish looking vest. See how we have no clue they were the little symbolism. Adam is ruddy, red. Adam also becomes Adamai. Adamai in Hebrew means earth. So this is also a representation of earth. Adam is earth. Okay. Original man is earth. The land, the more. Okay. But that's a whole nother conversation. But when he transforms, he becomes He-Man. Now, He-Man, of course, is the Christ figure. You can see he's basically got, look, he's got the cross on his chest. He's the Christ figure. His nemesis is Skeletor. Look at that. He's got the goat head, the Baphomet, the ram head, whatever. Okay. Now he's this monstrous character. His face looks like a skeleton. Okay. But what's interesting is that He-Man, who originally was Adam, for Adam to become him, he must go, and that's the next piece I want to collect. I've been getting these off of eBay. Is Adam goes into something called Castle Grayskull, and if you in my age group, you know what I'm talking about. Castle Grayskull, and that's where he goes and transforms into He-Man. But what's interesting is this dude, Castle Grayskull, his face is a skull. They was giving us game. They was giving us little boys game back then. In essence, these two, this is Osiris and Set. They're brothers. They need each other. In my chart, I have this opposition. My sun, he represents the sun, opposes Saturn. He represents Saturn. Notice his skin is blue. Frostbite turns the skin. If you're light enough, you'll see it blue. And these two oppose each other. Skeletor as Saturn represents, for one, time. He is the light of the sun. So Saturn has always restricted the ability of my sun to shine its light. And I have felt it from as long as I can remember. I have felt this opposition and this tension, which means that contributes to me being impatient because I've always felt like time is running out or I'm behind time. Okay. And so what that has done throughout life is given me an ability to learn things very fast because I always felt like I was learning them later than other people. So I always felt like I had to make up time. So it gave me the gift of being able to learn fast. It gave me the gift of my will being so strong that I will force things into reality. And that has been my backdrop for manifestation. As in, it's very rudimentary. As in, I encounter people who struggle with being able to be consistent with what they do with their time. The universe has positioned me to meet people who always have much more time on their hands than I do. And on the same token, may not know what to do with it. And sometimes it's because of lack of confidence in themselves. It takes a certain confidence to say, I'm going to dedicate my time to this. Because there's got to be some inherent belief that this can become something of merit if I'm going to put all my time into it. And so although they may have time, they may struggle to follow through because they don't really believe in it. But what I've had to come to learn is there's more to manifestation. And possibly the success that I've had has been based on fear. And so now at this point, with the way life is set up with responsibilities, I've had to not be able to rely so much on the force, me applying force to bring things, but to learn a different avenue, or might I say, a higher octave of manifestation, which is allowing the game to come to me based on an understanding of that I got it. I got it. And therefore, stop fighting so much, Jamal. Stop fighting. Stop banging your head up against the wall because you have built up a history and a theme of accomplishing things this certain way. And so you see how all this the grasshopper shows up, then my man makes that statement, and then I have this epiphany and this little unvelation, and it's like the universe is speaking about me dealing with me. And this is me inside of the world or living within the macrocosm with all this shit going on. Information. They about to do this. They about to do that. You better get some gold. You better get some silver. You better get you some food rations. Better get you some land. You better get you 10,000 gallons of water. And you better invest in this. And all this shit going on. And I'm having to realize that shit don't even matter. You still got to deal with you. Where to go from here? Where do you go? Where do I go from here? Most of our conversations are centered around collectiveness or collectivity. We. I'm doing this for my people. I want my people to have financial independence, and I want my people to. No, No, just keep it real. You want to make sure that your finances is straight. And I get it. Just be straight up. Because honestly, that's really the order of the day is yourself. Now, not saying that you're gonna take unscrupulous means to secure yourself, you know, but it's individual focus is what I'm saying. That's the order of the day. Raquel said, but did you get them? You gotta did I get what? You gotta explain your question. Um and it go and I'm really having to rely on from the standpoint of manifesting things, reciprocity. It's like I go back to like Natural Market was saying, giving out samples and um uh I've given people so much free information and advice and I'm gonna be honest, gold, silver, water, and food. Well, I'll say this. We we are wise in our movements. That'll be my answer to that. So no, I'm not saying discredit or discount, getting your things. I'm talking about just perspective. Common sense always trumps. You always want to have things in order. You know, everybody need to have some dry food. That was the same way in 1985. My daddy always was on us about keeping some canned goods and you know, having a poncho in the back of your car and Vaseline and long johns and um, you know, all that stuff. But what I'm saying is in the midst of all of that, not forgetting about your individual journey. That's what I'm saying. There are two fools in the world. One is the millionaire who thinks that by hoarding money, he can somehow accumulate real power. And the other is the penniless reformer who thinks that if only he can take the money from one class and give it to another, all the world's ills will be. Yeah, that's heavy. Um, but yeah, but my point is to now don't get me wrong, I got stack up. That's good. That's good. Good for you. But um my thing is my father told me something very wise before he passed. Just a few years before he passed, he was like, he said, son, people been calling for the end of the world in every generation. I was like, man, because I was really, you in your different phases and 2011 and 12, I'm in my, you know, high conspiratorial and and just I want it's my old man, so I look up to him and he was an intellectual man and I'm running all this stuff um by him and he hit me with just simple wise words. People been calling for the end for a long time, and so the gist of it is be wise, um, be practical. But on the same token, you know, uh, don't get over infatuated with the end is near. This system about to crumble. I'm gonna tell you, down here in Texas, they spending billions. Like they ain't stopping building no highways. They putting up apartments all over, and we know the game. We know the whole game about they want to make a renter society. All types of stuff going on with taxes for homeowners. All types of games with it. You got to stay on top of shit. And it's hard when you juggling all types of other things. But this thing still rolling. Now, that's not to say what could happen tomorrow or next week, but as of now, uh, my thing is until the clock stop ticking, I'm gonna keep ticking, you know. And so those of us who are of certain level of thinking, that's the challenge for us, is to be able to balance both sides of the scales, to be aware of the different things happening around us, but at the same time to not become engulfed and uh and overwhelmed by what all we see, all the info, because that's part of, like my professor said, hoard information, flood information, distort it, and then embellish it. And when I think about that, I think, okay, if you've been without food for a prolonged period of time, and all of a sudden you are thrust into a buffet, it is equally as bad as the starvation, because now to suddenly overload your system with a ton of food, you're gonna be sick. You're gonna be sick, and your body's trying to direct all this blood to digest all this, and your bowels are backed up, because your body has become accustomed to not having food. And then if you all of a sudden overload it with food, you can shut down your multiple systems. You're now more susceptible to infection and inflammation and all types of things, because it wasn't done in a responsible manner. And then we can kind of liken that to our world right now. Like people are being stuffed with information, and some things were just not meant for general consumption in theory. But if they are being made available, know that it's not just some revolutionary theme at play. It's nefarious. It's to get people to choke on information, to be so full with it that you can't do nothing with it. So that's why, it's a fine balancing act. But but to go back to the beginning, with all that said, um this is not the time to throw away all the studying and learning that you've been doing either. This is the assimilation period, where we're being challenged to take the for those of us who've been at this for years, to take this and to assimilate it, um as in what Virgo does. The sign of Virgo is associated with your digestive processes. Before you eliminate which is Scorpio, Virgo, which is sextile to Scorpio, supports Scorpio by facilitating digestion. So if you know a Virgo, Virgos are typically very analytical, and negatively they can be overly critical if they lean towards the negative side of the spectrum. But at the core, it's analysis. They are analyzing things because that's what your stomach does when you take in food. It's got to determine what must be segregated, what must be assimilated, and then what is going to be moved on to Libra, the scales, the kidneys, and then what will be moved on to the further eliminatory functions, Scorpio. So this thing of assimilation is Virgoan in nature, because Virgo is looking, we're taking all this stuff that we've gathered in and we're sifting through. Virgo sifts through things. We're sifting through all this stuff we've taken in and said, nah, just because JT the pocket watch is insinuating that all metaphysics and all this stuff is garbage and trash now because he looks at everything through money. And he's pointing out these scammers who have been incorporating in metaphysical principles into their scams. And now this becomes a convenient way to throw the whole body of science under the bus, which makes you wonder even where the people come from who calling out the scammers, that maybe somebody is behind them too. It's all types of games going on right now. And that might not be what it is, but it also might be what it is. It's interesting times. So we individually have the challenge to go through and do the Virgo processes of sifting through. What am I going to keep? What now will I'm going to move that on through. Elliot James says, what do you think about the Killer Podcast, Priest Podcast becoming? I'm going to be honest, I haven't watched the Killer Priest Podcast in probably at least a year. You know, we used to try to go on there and we would submit some of our music, you know. So we used it for that purpose, but I don't watch it. Thank you, Raquel. So yeah, Elliot, I mean, you might have to expound on that. What's I mean, I see the thumbnails. I mean, I can imagine where you're going with it, but I be seeing like that, like, you know, it'll pop up on your suggestions, and I'll see it be like 5-7 people on there, and you know, so I don't watch it. But yeah, expound on that. What's going on over there? But you know, if you are feeling like it's becoming whack, then what's interesting is that, like I was saying, Pluto moving through Aquarius, and Aquarius is community. And so each channel will kind of have, or you say, after Tahuti and Priest had disagreement over a little bit of money, it's been going down. Money, that old money thing, huh? That money always creeps in. It always creeps in. You know what's you trigger something that I want to talk about too with that. With the information still though, even with the Tahuti brother, you know, sometimes the information I hear, like, let me say this. This is one of the reasons I don't too, in addition to um um my responsibilities with my family. One of the other reasons I've been feeling hesitant to even get on here and talk is that I don't feel like I got the exotic things that people are looking for. Like if you are talking about the Anunnaki, or you're talking about flat earth, or you're talking about something, um you know, the exotic shit, y'all know. But my thing though is that life is becoming so digital, juxtaposed to the analog, meaning if we just keep it real, when you get off this computer, you got real shit you dealing with. You got rent, you got house note, you got relationship issues, you got people dealing bouts of depression, you know, people overcoming trauma. Um, Sometimes I don't see where all of the you see all these books I got here behind me, you know, so I got stuff on just about anything and everything. But with what's going on in the world, sometimes I think things need to be mad simple. And I think some of the platforms and the information can start to become a degree of escapism. My life is miserable. So let me get on here and hear about uh how to teleport through 10 walls, and and how, I mean, just whatever's the most exotic shit you can think of, and the most amazing theories. But at the end of the day, I got to get off this computer at some point. I got to get off this computer, and I got to face whatever reality, even if it is just three-dimensional, whatever three-dimensional reality I am currently engaged in, it still awaits me when I get off of here. And sometimes I don't hear, many times I don't hear information that is just that simple. And so maybe what we have is a collective escapism right now on the internet. Because, like I say, with the people I'm talking to, they still got three-dimensional issues that they're dealing with. And part of our conscious awareness and exploration, we've downgraded humanity so much. We have been singing this trope that humanity is lesser than, and we are trapped here, and this entity has us trapped here, and we've downgraded humanity so much. Then on the same token, now we're sitting back here worried about what AI gonna do to humanity. But hold on. Haven't we all been talking about how humanity ain't shit? So metaphysically, have we been channeling and calling for AI? Have we been um providing the food spiritually for it to eat on? Because that is what AI is really infringing upon: humanity. So I be, I don't be eager to talk a lot because everybody just seem to have their mind made up that, well, this is it's this way. This is what Gnosticism means. It means that humanity is degraded. What I've been finding is that the true test of whatever I've learned spiritually, metaphysically, and whatever is being tested in my humanity. What I have come to learn in my travels is that Earth is a school. And then I just use basic common sense. In school, you get grades. You pass or you fail. If you fail, you repeat. If you drop out of school, you're typically going to suffer. Somewhere down the line, you're going to pay for dropping out of school. And so if I am down here as a soul in a body, or I am a shard of the divine having a human experience, if all I get out of this experience is that we're trapped down here, we're being held down here, and we're going to break loose, we're trying to get out of jail. Well, let's just take the literal jail that we know of in three-dimensional life. And you have this concept of, although it's more euphemistic than anything, of, was this person rehabilitated? And what's the recidivism? The rate of recidivism, the person coming back into jail. Well, it depends on the rehabilitation that the person received while in jail. Now, let's take away that more negative connotation and just take it back to school. What did you learn while you were in school? Did you really get an education? Or did you just skirt by because you was always thinking about, I just want to get out of here? Then all of a sudden, you finally get what you want. You out of school and you're ill prepared. So I'm not one that thinks that this whole existence is, oh, it's just a game, it's just a simulation, and it's just I that's awful nihilistic to me, because when I start thinking that way, it's just a game, then it frees me to do anything. I can do anything. There's no repercussions. It never existed. If I chop your head off, it doesn't matter. It's all a game anyway. So then if that same energy come visits you and somebody you love receives that type of energy, are you just going to be able to say, oh, well, it was just a game? My mother never existed anyway. My wife never existed. It was just a game. Are you actually going to be able to uphold that energy that you put out? I don't see this existence that way. And maybe I could be wrong because I don't know it all. But me personally, I don't live by that. I think it's a slippery slope. So once again, everything is up for reevaluation as far as I'm concerned right now. And everybody's got their own choice to choose where do they go from here. Some people gonna go back to church, and that's fine. Now, me personally, I don't see that in my I don't see that in my I don't see that possibility, you know, not for me. I mean, but if it leads them there, then that's where they were supposed to go back to. Others are going to continue exploring because, as I said, the absolute value is each person is their own religion. You are bound to something. You are bound to whatever your thoughts are. You are bound to however you see the world, inner and outer and beyond. You're bound by that because that's what a religion is. It's a binder. But we're in a space where there's this freedom for evolution and everything. But I know I'm going all around the world here, but that this all started with Elliot James asking me about the Killer Priest podcast, and it's whatever is going on over there is not. They don't have the patent on it. It's going on everywhere. Um, it's it's the internet is an amazing place. It's an amazing place. Um, but if you pay attention, you're seeing all types of evidence of things being unveiled. I used to watch this channel called Ra's Kitchen. Ra's Kitchen. This Jamaican guy named Marco and this European from Canada was over there filming and he was, I guess, breaking them off some money from the YouTube ads and the merch and whatever. And what's funny is I never had a good feeling about that guy. I always just I don't know anything about this situation. I just felt like the guy was exploiting the Jamaican dude. I always did. All of a sudden now, there's this thing where they say the channel is supposed to be coming to an end, and then the guy Mako is saying that the dude was doing something, some funny business. And you ought to see the comments where they're jumping all down on the Jamaican guy, Mako. But here's the thing. He's the star of the show. He's the one on there. Yeah, man. Everything my tool. Yes, man. Yeah, man. That's what the people watching for him. And these people dirt poor, of course, you know. And so if you think about the music industry, how it works. Oh boy. Okay, Elliot. Um, you think about the music industry, how they come and say, well, we had to pay for distribution and we had to pay for your marketing budget, and we paid to fly you here and there and get you on this interview and such and such. But at the end of the day, you figured out how to take somebody's talent and monetize it. Okay. And then you come back and say, I saved you. I'm your Jesus. I saved you. I've encountered that energy myself in life. I had a football coach like that. And some of these people, they love you as long as you appear humble to them. And that's too, and so when I say humble, I don't mean being nobody's footstool. I mean humble as in not being caught up in your bravado and your braggadocio and um and your boastfulness. But that does not mean you can't be confident and aware of your gifts and your purpose and your value. But I've seen what some of these people, they don't like it when you become aware of your value. They love you as long as you seem stupid and docile. Had a football coach like that. And I felt that energy from this dude with this Roz Kitchen. I said, something ain't right about him. And I don't know all the particulars, but I think my intuition is pretty good. I get feelings about things and people, and it's a lot of times be right. So, but in essence, though, I'm showing this an example of Pluto and Aquarius. And then when Pluto went back into Capricorn, Capricorn is finance. Pluto goes back into Capricorn to finish up some things. And so Pluto and Aquarius is this little community that they had created with this guy, Matthew and Mako. And then Pluto goes back into Capricorn, and there's some funny business about finance. All types of stuff is coming out. Just stuff is coming out about things that have been hidden. Now, I'm going to say this about Santos Bonacci. I used to be a big, had a lot of respect and still do. I still have a lot of respect for that version of Santos Bonacci. The astrotheology, well, yeah, Taurus is individual finance. Capricorn is financial structure, as in it is the ruling hand of finance. And so because this guy was controlling, Capricorn is control, he was controlling the finance, he would represent, that aspect in that situation. But yeah, I'm with you. But I ain't gonna say a lot on Santos. I'm gonna say that astrotheology, the way he would present that information was just beyond phenomenal. Okay. Some things start coming up. You would see on the internet about these. He was having some issues legally and health wise. Then all of a sudden, it's like a different version of him reemerged. And I'll leave it at that. But that 2008, 2009, 2010, mind blowing, and y'all also need to check out Malik Jabbar. He's an older man. He's probably close to 80 right now, but he's a heavy hitter when it comes to astrotheology as far as literature. But yeah, man, I think I'm about done with my rambling for this evening. And I want y'all to know how hard it is for me to get on here and just ramble like this. And I have Mercury in Capricorn, so I like to be in control of my words, uh, and to be, ready. So for me to just get on here impromptu, and I normally have a little something planned out, but I think I'm gonna try to do this again and not be so bogged down with uh trying to have stuff all um set up and etched out. His name is Malik Jabbar. He's got a website. He's got the historical or no. Astrological origins of the Christ myth. It's like it's 1, 2, 3. It's a 4-part series. Little thin books, but they are a lot of information, dense. The Gnostic Veil is one of his books. The Greatest Lie Ever Told is one of his books. I think he's got about 7 books that he's got out. But yeah, check him out. He's just straight to the point. He doesn't present any agenda. He just does what he does, straight down the middle. No filler. And he inspired me. As a matter of fact, I'll show you this. He inspired me to make this purchase because he talks about Al-Qibla, which is the astrological name of the Kaaba. And the Kaaba is what the Muslim, and I'm emphasizing Muslim as opposed to Muslim. The Muslim makes the Hajj to Mecca to circumnavigate the Al-Qibla or the Kaaba 7 times. And I'm going to do a breakdown about this. This is the Kaaba. Okay. And this represents Polaris, the current pole star. And so when the Muslim is condemning everything that he or she feels does not fall under the banner of Islam, little do they know the origin of what they profess. This used to hold 360 idols for the 360 degrees of the zodiac. The Sabian people, pre-Islamic Sabian people, were quote unquote pagan, and where we get many of the names of our fixed stars. And so our Qibla is part of Ursa Minor, the little bear. And this is worshipped because the pole star is worshipped. Ursa Minor, you'll learn this from Malik Jabbar. Ursa Minor is also called the Little Prince. And so Christianity, the Little Prince would be the Prince of Peace or Jesus or the Christ. So same thing. This is Christ. And so Ursa Minor moved into the circumpolar hub, chasing out Draco, the constellation Draco or the dragon. So that's Jesus chasing the devil. Or in Revelations, where that old dragon is bound into a pit for 1,000. That's the constellation of Draco, being chased out of the circumpolar hub, where the north pole of the earth moves through. Precessional equinox. So that's some of what he gonna give you, that good game. But yeah, we're gonna come back and have a little chat on that. But yeah, this type of stuff I be getting. You know, this is where my money goes. You know, and I must give a shout out to my Patreons, because this is part of where, you know, this stuff, I don't buy these to play with them. These things are metaphysical tools, you know, because now it's like, dang, I go back and look at this stuff now and, oh man, you know, so these are teaching tools. So I'm going to be bringing these back out, you know, all this stuff. But on that note, I done went on for another 10 minutes. I've heard that Saturn, and then I heard that's actually Venus. What's that meteor in there about? Well, that meteor, we're not sure if that's literal or if it's metaphorical to represent a chemical compound that is found within man, or the original template of the divine that came in the form of man. Part of that, I think that whole structure refers to some degree to the carbon compound, i.e. melanin. And I think that the Al-Qibla is definitely has a Saturnian flair to it, because you circumnavigate it 7 times. And Malik Jabbar also talks about how there are 7 constellations that never fall beneath the horizon of the earth. And those and the 7 times around the Kaaba is correlates to those 7 constellations. Now that 7 constellations is also Bathsheba. Bet, house. Sheba is 7, house of 7. And the house of 7 comes up from the south to meet. So, I mean, I think it's a multi-layered concept, you know. But I do think Saturn there is a Saturnian association with the Kaaba. All right. So on that note, I thank all y'all for joining me for this impromptu. Damn, we done been 2 hours. 2 hours. Wow. All right. So look some of his. Okay, yeah, look him up. Look up Malik Jabbar, heavy hitter. And for those of you who are astrologically inclined, as you see on the bottom, you can look me up for readings at my site, 720astrology.com. Also, if you are looking to learn more about astrology, you know, visit my site and download my free learning tool for how to read your own birth chart. It's for free. All right. As always, stay down till you get up. And when you get up, stay down. Peace.